Hi guys, it's Ro and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a January wrap up. I read 7 books this month. I thought I would just share with you guys what those were, if I enjoyed them, if I didn't. It was a mix of genres, but I reckon most of the books that I read in January were new adult with some YA mixed in there as well. I'm just going to jump straight into it. Let's go. So I read a new adult trilogy at the start of this month and I raced through this trilogy. It is called The Royals and you guys might have heard of it if you are a fan of new adult books. This was the trilogy that kicked off my 2017 and it was great that I could finish them so quickly so I could already get started on my Goodreads reading challenge, and I have to say I did quite enjoy them. I think my favourite may have been the second in the series, but the first was definitely great. The third one, not so much. So the first book is called Paper Princess, and basically I'm just going to give you a rundown on what this whole series is about and how it starts off. So basically we follow Ella and she is an orphan. Her mother has just recently, well not just recently, maybe about a year before the events of Paper Princess, she'd passed away from cancer. They had quite a hard life, always struggling with money, always moving towns. So Ella has never really stayed in one place, never really had anyone else to rely on. She was always the driving figure of the relationship between her and her mother. She was always the provider. She had to resort to doing some things that probably a young teenage girl shouldn't be doing, but that's a whole nother story. Ella is living by herself. She's just started at a new high school once again. She's very lonely, and then she gets a visit from this very high up corporal businessman. He's very rich. His name is Callum Royal, and Ella has no idea who this guy is. She's never met him in her life. And it turns out that Callum is actually her long lost father's best friend. I should mention that Ella's father was never around during her time growing up. She'd never met the guy before. She's never met her dad. So she didn't really have any interest in him anyway. But it turns out her father has just passed away as well from a terrible accident on a vacation, and that provides a bit of mystery into the first book. But basically Callum is her best friend and takes over the sort of parental role for Ella. So she moves to this really fancy house in a new fancy suburb away from where she was living before, and she is thrown into a household filled with male dominance, I guess. Callum Royal's sons are quite tricky. There are 5 of them. One is a set of twins. They're all in high school. They all will be going to the same private prep school that Ella will be attending, and they give her a hard time. And anyway, it's just all about family dynamics. She gets into a bit of a fling with Reed Royal, who is the second eldest royal brother, and they have a bit of a fling. He really hates her for coming from this lower class and building a good relationship with Callum, where the boys do not have any good relationship at all with their dad. So that is one of the underlying figures that really stirs this resentment from Reed and the rest of the brothers as they all follow his lead in the family. This series is new adult, so obviously there's not too much seriousness to the series. This was just a bit of fun. Really wanted to kick 2017 off with a good reading start. So this definitely helped me get along with my reading challenge and really kickstarted me to start reading right at the start of 2017. So obviously this is a pretty fun book. I remembered that they had major cliffhangers at the end of each book, which was a great enticement to carry on with this series. Not gonna say it's my favourite series, nowhere really up in my top 10 new adults, but it was just a bit of fun. If you guys are looking for something like that, I definitely recommend The Royals as a fun new adult series to just get into. So that was the first trilogy I read in 2017. It was Paper Princess, Broken Prince and Twisted Palace. Those were the 3 books that I started off with this year. The second series that I read in January, I read 2 of the books and the third one is coming out really soon, so I'm so excited. But I really fell in love with this series. I found it on the back end of Goodreads. I purchased the ebooks. This series is called Forbidden. So the first book in the series is called Forbidden by Kimberly Griffiths. I've just developed a lisp all of a sudden. Kimberly Griffiths Little. That's it. sort of just butchered that, but whatever. Anyway, so I fell in love with this book mainly because of the world that it is set in. So basically we follow the story of the main character, Jaden, and Jaden is part of the tribe in like sort of Middle East, Mesopotamian desert. I think that's how you say it. Let me just check. Yeah, Mesopotamian desert. Hundreds of years ago, an ancient civilization, and she's part of this small tribe in a collection of tribes all over the desert. They basically just go traveling, trade, and raid for camels and all that. Anyway, she is being betrothed to the leader of the tribe, Horeb, and she has been childhood friends with him forever, and it turns out as he takes the role of this leader of the tribe, he develops a certain arrogance, becomes a bit of a dig, and basically he's not very nice to her or anyone in the tribe, really only cares about himself and his power. So that is the first conflict at the start. So the book opens with us following Jaden along through this betrothal ceremony, and just before they're about to move to a different camp for the summer. She is out in the desert after some unfortunate events happen right at the start of the book, and these really help you resonate with Jaden, and a boy comes along who is injured and who is lost, and he is Kadesh. He's from these foreign lands far, far away. No one really knows where he's from, what he's doing in the area, and why he was near the tribe, and that is what you will figure out along throughout the story of Forbidden. But basically Forbidden is about this forbidden love developing between Jaden and Kadesh as he follows Jaden and her family onto the summer lands, and this obviously creates heaps of conflict. It was just a really nice love story set against an amazing backdrop. I really loved this book. It had some fantasy elements, so you know I'm always down for that sort of stuff. I read Banished as well, which is the second book, but I won't go into spoiling that in case you haven't read it. But I really enjoyed Banished. It ended on a massive cliffhanger, and I think the third book comes out pretty soon. Let me just check. Okay, so the third book is called Returned, and it comes out on the 7th of Feb. So I'm gonna like dive into it as soon as possible. Someone just walked past my window. It's really embarrassing. The third book is called Returned, comes out 7th of Feb. You know I'm gonna hop on to that straight away, dive right in, can't wait. So the Forbidden series is definitely one you should check out if you love romance, fantasy, YA/NA. Look it up. And going on with this sort of tribe-like, clan-like story, I also read Nameless, which is the first book in a trilogy, I'm pretty sure. Nameless is by Jennifer Jenkins, and basically it follows the conflict in like a barren world set in a forest-like situation. There are 4 major clans that all are against the Ram clan. So the Ram clan are the like major ruling, dominating clan in this world, and Zoe, who is from the Wolf clan, has been oppressed by these Ram clan members for a long time, and she wants to get her revenge on the Ram by infiltrating their system as a slave and trying to break down the Ram clan from the inside. She meets a soldier of the Ram clan who has some trouble solidifying his identity, and he has some family conflict beforehand, and his father sort of betrayed the Ram clan for the events of this book. So that is sort of something that sticks with him, gives him sort of a bad rep at the beginning of the book. But yeah, Zoe and this Ram soldier really connect on like trying to find themselves in a world that's filled with chaos. This was a fast read, has major fantasy elements, maybe even some dystopian elements as well. But yeah, this was just a fun read. I didn't go on to the second book. I'm not sure if I will be continuing this series, but all in all I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 stars out of 5. And the final 7th book that I read in January is Velvet Undercover. And when I found this on Goodreads, I read the blurb, I was immediately drawn to it. I wanted to get into this book straight away. So basically this is a spy book set at the time of World War I, and we follow Sam Donaldson, who is a very bright, intelligent young lady living in World War I Britain. Based on her being a girl guide at the time, she gets recruited to be in intelligence organisation MI5, and MI5 send her on a very important and risky mission after her father also disappears on a diplomatic mission as well. She joins a secret women's spy group called La Dame Blanche. So we follow Sam into Germany during World War I, and she is placed in the Kaiser Williams II palace, and she is to infiltrate, make friends with, find out the secrets behind the backdrop of Germany so she can deliver these important messages to Britain. And so this was just a fun read. I think that it had heaps of potential at the start, but I sort of lost interest in the book towards the end. I don't know, it was just missing that fire. I feel like it could have gone so many different amazing directions. I feel like I was a bit let down towards the end. Still an interesting, fun read. I'd never really read anything like it before. So if that sounds interesting to you, Samantha was quite an amazing character, very strong female protagonist. So if you guys are into that, you should definitely give this one a go. Anyway, that is it for my January wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have read any of these books, just comment down below. We can talk about them down in the comments. The books that I will be planning on reading in Feb are Crystal Storm, which is the 5th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I'm so excited. There will be a review coming for that. I will also be reading Crooked Kingdom, which is the 2nd book in the Six of Crows series by Leigh Bardugo. I'm so excited to read that. I've heard great things. I'm a bit late, but I'm just can't wait to dive into that 2nd book. I already know it's going to be amazing. So those are just a few of the books that I'm intending to read next month. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Today is New Year's Eve, so obviously I have to count down all the books that I have read this year.